The greenies love to imagine that the temperature is going up astronomically, exponentially. And so if they had a chance to depict this temperature increase, it would be zooming up like an exponential curve, sky high, like a rocket. And what they did on their chart, which I originally erroneously said must be Northern Hemisphere, because it's very much different than Al Gore's chart. What they did was add on to it their representation of the past 100 years, which, according to them, has gone up like a rocket, can only be depicted by an exponential curve. We have multiple temperature charts from multiple sources, some of them imaginary, and they all indicate that the temperature is increasing. I don't argue with that. And they say that CO2 is increasing, and I don't argue with that. I only point out that CO2 is increasing by a minute amount, an insignificant amount. And the temperature increase is well within normal variability. Well within normal variability. It's almost as bad as pointing out that the sun is moving across the sky. This can only mean catastrophe ahead. Well, that's fairly normal. I'm sorry you're so alarmed, but I think I've noticed that before. Like yesterday, I think. So they're making a big deal out of nothing. I'm not arguing that the climate doesn't change. I'm not arguing that the sun isn't moving across the sky. I'm just saying it's normal, and it ain't nothing. It's business as usual. But I wanted to point out something that I said that was erroneous, and the chart you're about to see is labeled Greenland, and that's a pun. Okay, it's a pun, and you'll also see the fishhook, and you'll see, I hope, where they got this fishhook. And then there's a bunch of gobbledygook. So here we go. Oh, first of all, I should say that I began to plot their data points on a chart to compare my chart with their chart, and they ain't the same. Because they've obviously smushed their chart considerably and added the fishhook. Their data does not show a fishhook. Their data starts at 1969, 38 years before 2007, which is when they drilled this icecore, 2007. And I'll tell you at the end what this icecore is called and where it came from. Look at Al Gore's chart. See this blue smudge? Zero in on that blue smudge. You'll learn a lot. There's Hanson's hockey stick, which doesn't really look like a hockey stick. And here's the 1 degree increase that's got Al Gore's panties in a wad, or so he claims. Take a look at the overall chart. Notice that it covers a long period of time, 450,000 years. Let's chop off the right-hand part and zero in on the more modern part. On the extreme left is the most recent 10,000 years, the blue smudge. I hate to point out the obvious. The greenies say that CO2 is increasing. Again, I hate to point out the obvious. I hate to be the one to tell you what is plainly right before your eyes. I hate to be the one that appears to be 100 times smarter than all the so-called NASA scientists combined. All the workers at the NOAA. I hate to be the one, because I'm not looking for fame and glory. I hate to even make these videos because I don't think the camera likes me. I hate to be the one to point out the obvious. I'm going to explain it this way. This is a jar of coffee creamer. I could tie a weight onto this jar and lower it with a long string off a boat down into the depths of the ocean, where the water is pressurized and colder, but the main thing is it's pressurized. If you've ever seen a movie about a submarine that is crippled and it's sinking, the first thing they do is, you hear this cracking, popping sound, and water starts to spew from here and there, and they take their hands and they try to stop it, and they're panicking. They think, oh, we're going to sink, we're going to be crushed. There is a tremendous amount of pressure down there. Do you suppose I could lower my jar and bring some of that pressure up to the surface if I put the lid on real tight? But if I didn't put the lid on real tight, and I handled it for a while, and I loaded it on an airplane and shipped it across the equator to France, it's even worse than that about the ice cores under pressure. It's even worse than that. Not only does the snow get smushed, and before it gets smushed, it blows back and forth for many years because there's very little snow in Antarctica. What is there doesn't melt, and it blows here and it blows there and it blows here and it blows there. If you build you a shed, if you're a scientist and you go to work in Antarctica, you make yourself a shed, that thing will be covered up with snow. That's why they have snow plows. Everywhere they go, they have a shed and a snow plow. That snow blows. And of course, the atmosphere is mixed and remixed and remixed. But eventually it settles under several meters of ice and gets smushed. Does the gas remain in that smushed snow? No. But some of it does, and some of it gets smushed under hundreds of meters of snow. Some of that stays there. It's trying to get out. It's trying to migrate. It's under tremendous pressure. But some of it is stuck. Some of it is stuck. Some of it is stuck hundreds of meters below the surface, under tremendous pressure, so much pressure that the edges of an ice cap, a glacier, move as though it was liquid because of the pressure. It extrudes like soft aluminum or like soft butter extrudes between your fingers when you squeeze it. I hate to be the one to point out the obvious, but when you drill several meters deep into the ice and you bring up these cylinders of ice, of course, they're brittle, they're under pressure, and the first thing they're going to do is fracture, and the gas is going to leak out. So what little gas was there is now leaking out. Even if you go to extreme measures to contain this gas, even if you pressurize it immediately and keep it cold, you still ruin your sample. That's why all your CO2 readings are way too low. That's why today's CO2 readings seem very much higher. I hate to be the one to point out the obvious. I'm not smarter than these guys. They're just hoping that you are not smarter. They know that their CO2 samples are useless. They know it. They know it. They knew it from day one. They knew it.